Hi, I'm Mickey Andrade, and you might recognize me from the Throttle YouTube channel where we build Japanese cars, European cars, we do engine builds, we do sweepstakes cars, all kinds of stuff. But today, we're going to talk about the GT-R that we're working on with Motive Video.
My name is Quinn Clark. You may see me on the Throttle YouTube channel where we build all sorts of cars.
So roughly 20 years ago, I decided to pick up all my stuff and move from Ohio in search of an automotive career. Shortly thereafter, I found a job as a marketing guy at Falcon Tire, which then immediately led to us kicking off the drift program, and where I culminated a career there after 5 years where I was actually running the drift program with some of my very best friends. I learned that I wanted to start my own business. I partnered with a couple buddies I met at one of the companies I worked at previously, and we started Throttle, and here we are today, selling car parts and building cool stuff. Yeah, our channel is a little bit different than the normal vlog channel where it's not someone's individual's name, it's actually a business. I think our YouTube channel style did have a hand in bringing Motive Video and Throttle together, and that's because I was doing research on an upcoming RB build that I wanted to do. And by doing that research on YouTube, I stumbled across Motive Video for knowledge. There's not a whole lot of knowledge out there in the US market because these cars, or GT-Rs specifically, were never available here as a domestic market vehicle. Yeah, so this business is twofold for me. One, it's a job, it's a career, and it's fun for me, but I also have my own personal cars on the side. I have an R34 over in Japan, I have a Stasia 260 RS over in Japan. So I've got all these RBs kind of collecting in chassis until they're available to come to the States. Now is the time. Our engine build series on Throttle does really well. So we knew an RB was gonna be a good hit for the channel, and that's kind of where all this sort of comes together and merges as a full build. So I met Andrew at SEMA. I was already watching Motive Video to sort of learn what those builds look like and what makes them work and what makes them so good, because there's heaps of fast cars over there where we don't have many here at all. Literally flew in from Japan straight to SEMA. I was half asleep when I met Andrew the first time, and I wanted to pick your brain, I think is exactly what I said to you. And you were very forthcoming, and as you have been with many people I've seen you meet now, with sort of the tips and tricks of what you think is a good ideal scenario or setup for an RB26. We didn't have any ideas of building a car together at that point. It was more so just, here, let me help you with some tips on how to make the motor good. You know, I think at that point in time, you were sort of introduced to the Bangin' Gears TV show, and at that point, it was kind of not possible to fly your car over. So we decided to find a chassis here in the States and build the engine and take it on here in the US. So knowing that we were going to be building an RB26 on the Throttle YouTube channel for our audience, it kind of just made sense for us to be involved in the chassis preparation and build as well. Once the RB26 motor build was locked in, I took it upon myself after hours to sort of locate a chassis. We worked with our friends at Top Rank and we were able to source that and get that chassis to San Diego where we could start prepping it for the motor that we were building during the day, during throttle time, to where we would transition to second shift and start building the chassis after hours. And so Quinn and I were basically managing the bulk of that.
So he started working on those, and I wanted to get my hands on an RB and start playing with it because it's just another engine that I want to learn about and play with. So we started talking about doing, you know, just kind of the basic twin turbo bolt-on stuff. And then we met you at SEMA, and then I kind of watched it snowball, and the build came together really fast, and I saw it coming because we got in this group chat, and we all just started, everyone was bouncing off each other, and I'm just like looking around like, oh, this is going, and then just a pallet of parts showed up, and it was game time, man. So it came together really, really quickly.
It was a major undertaking for only a couple guys, and that's where you guys kind of came in and said, hey, we've got, you know, Rob Arbolino over here. He's willing to come to the States and help out, and you know, we welcomed him with open arms as an expert in the space in Australia.
Hi, I'm Rob Arbolino from Cranked Motorsport. Honestly, the initial reaction was no, but then when I sat down and sort of thought it all out, and you know, you told me the parts list that we had and who we had partnershiped up with the car and stuff like that, it sort of started to make a little bit more sense. Then a little bit of research with the guys from Throttle and what they had going on over there. I thought the biggest things would probably be having parts available to us, which was obviously the biggest factor. In America, there's no RB parts. It seems like Australia has them all because we're getting stuff air freighted from here. I'd have to say purely because you've seen me build multiple cars in under 2 weeks before. Not by choice, never by choice. I think that's probably the honest reason why you would have sent me first. Not a lot of shops could anyway. It's not what people usually set out to do is that time frame, because one, you either make mistakes and things go wrong, but you know, when you're given a deadline, you've got the sponsors behind you that you've got no real choice.
So wrenching on the car was one part of it, and building the engine was one part of it. But there's another part that was very, very stressful, and actually probably more stressful than actually completing our deadline of having the car running. And that was just organizing the parts and stuff that needed to come from Australia, come from the States, come from wherever the best manufacturer of that product was. We started this, basically the planning process around Thanksgiving, I would say, 2022. After that holiday was kind of where we got serious, but then before you knew it, we were creeping up on Christmas. Trying to get a block prepped and ready to be shipped over to the States during that time proved to be very difficult because all the workshops shut down between Christmas and New Year's in Australia. I had no idea. Here in the States, some people take off, some people don't. You can kind of get things done, but there it's a complete halt, it seems. And now I'm not there, but that's what I gathered. And the guys at Platinum Racing Products were actually able to push an RB25 block somehow through a machine shop and get all their stuff ready to go with it during that time. Had they not pushed that hard, there's no way this could have been done. The nice part was essentially Platinum Racing collected everything for us. And at that point, it was time to get excited because we now had something here that we could start putting together while we waited for the chassis to come back from paint and for Rob to get here from Australia. And that's when kind of the dream team assembled. It just all started coming together. And that's really when the real stress kicked off because now we've got parts coming in. This is a real thing. This has to get done. Thankfully for Rob, Quinn, my brother-in-law Greg, and a couple other hands that stayed late into the mornings, early into the mornings, I should say, most nights to get kind of the chassis ready so that when you flew in, Andrew, there was something that was presentable, running, and we just needed to basically get tuned and buttoned up. So we got this chassis, right? And unfortunately, the paint was a bit tattered and it didn't look the greatest. The nice thing was it was white, and I love white cars. So I immediately took the car off to have a fresh spray on it, got the car prepped, got the body straight, sprayed the white on it for us. And on January 20th, we took delivery of the chassis. Rob Arbolino was flying in on January 21st to start working on the car with us. So literally, Quinn and I stayed the night we got the car back and dropped the whole front subframe, everything out of the car, got it ready to basically spray the bay because the bay looked terrible as well. And we didn't have time at the body shop to let them do what they do in the engine bay. So we took it upon ourselves, got it stripped down, got it sprayed black, so everything would look nice in there. And at that point is when the project kicked off. Rob came in and really supercharged this thing.
There was supposed to be a day to recover, but there wasn't. We got pretty much straight into it. We started working out what we needed to do, what was wrong with what we had in front of us at the time, and we got working to it.
So why don't we talk about some of these parts? You know, I'm familiar with GK Tech, Rob, because we use these on our R32 project recently and also an S14 that we built years ago. Yeah. I am not, however, familiar with Shockworks, so maybe you could give me a little bit on that and what you like about GK Tech as well.
Shockworks is another Australian company basically, but just the development they've done inside the world time attack scene and, you know, time attack cars all over the world. It's, you know, when they take the data and they use it seriously to make a better product for the customer, you get a product like this. And we've always used them in our cars, the drift cars and any of the drag cars or anything that we do like that. So why not use it in this build?
We're setting this car up for Andrew, and so a lot of these spec parts are actually because these are parts that he has on his personal car back in Australia.
GK Tech stuff, you know, starts out with the camber arms, the rear camber arms, rear subframe bushes, and rear traction arms, and obviously the Highcast Elite with some solid diff bushings, the rest of the Highcast Elite, and then we go to the front. We've got front caster rods and front top camber arms. With all of that, we can get all the adjustments we need in that suspension. We don't need anything else.
Yeah, that's a lot of adjustment and a lot less rubber bushings to deal with, so this is going to really tighten the chassis up quite a bit.
Sure.
tossed in our Frenchie's Performance AC upgrades, which are awesome. This is basically a brand new system. It takes out all of the old R32 AC components. We've got a brand new Spall fan in here. We've got the Frenchie's Performance shroud with a condenser and dryer already built onto it, which is really cool and slimline. Fits into the factory location, which is super rad. And it cuts down on the old 30-year-old crummy AC system that was in here. What's really cool is it uses a modern pump as well, which is down here, and it comes with all new lines. So we basically have a modern AC system on a 30-year-old car, which is amazing. You guys saw us put an AC system in our rear-wheel drive Civic track car. We're all about having AC systems in our race cars because when we sit at the track in California, it does get pretty hot. So we need to sit in the staging lines with the AC on, kick it off when we hit the track, stay nice and cool. So we've got a very accelerated timeline on this project. Knowing that going in, we reached out to our friends at R32 Performance and got this sweet manifold. Garrett Turbos provided us this G35-900 turbo, and Turbo Smart supplied us with a wastegate. Well, that's all you really need to complete the downpipe system and complete bolt-on turbo kit that the guys over at Spectrum Motorsports make. And that includes basically all those components I already mentioned, plus a downpipe, a two-piece downpipe, and you can either do a screamer pipe or recirculated wastegate. And it also comes with the intake pipe, a K&N filter, a neck for the bottom of your turbo to get it to your intercooler piping, and it comes with all the oil and water lines as well, pre-made with fittings. It is about the most comprehensive kit I've ever seen. You can literally single turbo your RB in a weekend in your home garage. It is amazing, and what it's done for us is allowed us to really kick this project into high gear fast and get it done without having to stop to do fabrication work, which is super helpful.
You can tell it's not Mickey's first rodeo. He's got quite a rep, you know, around the crew chiefing scene and in and out of motorsport and whatever. Like, yeah, he's pretty impressive, the rep that he has in there. But Quinn is, for a young bloke, like I told him, come over, Quinn, I'll give you a job. Awesome, man. Like all the rest of the boys too, like everyone, all their mates, everyone's just very, very welcoming. And you know, I was in a shop that's a bit weird to have a guy from another country come and just use your shop like it's his, but it felt very welcoming and stuff like that. But you know, those boys are awesome. They're very, very switched on.
It's really cool to work with somebody who's in the zone and who's been in the zone, especially when it comes to a specific platform like this. I would run into issues, and I do this with every engine build. You run into issues, and you know, look for solutions and look for corrections. And there have been a couple of people in my life that I've worked with who just, it's crazy. Working with the right person, they can relay information to you in 15 seconds and it changes everything. It just, you know, and he would just, I don't even know if he like consciously knew he was spewing out the right information, but he would say something, I would get it, and then we're off again. You know, it was really cool. It was really cool. I really enjoyed it.
Had we had to do this, just Quinn and I, it probably would have doubled the time frame or more. Not having Rob's expertise in the space and helping us kind of, no, do this, don't do that. We know enough to get it done, but it would have taken a lot longer for sure.
Mickey's eyes were hanging out of his head, so were Quinn's, so were mine at 5 in the morning. We were still trying to get this thing running, but it's just part of it. Like, you feel better when there's some other eyes rolling on the floor, it's not just yours. The ratio of stress to fun, there was still more laughs than there was stress. You know, there's, like you said, he has a good bunch of people around him and they keep you laughing, and which is what you need at AMs. Like, yeah, all the AMs is usually when the laughing stops, but we had it going, we kept it going. So yeah, it was good.
There was probably like 3 times in the middle of the build where we're like, we're done, like the car's not making it. And then we would keep pushing through, and then it ended up working, so.
Just hear it running. that's all. I would have liked to have grabbed the gear on the hoist and felt the clutch and everything like that, but at the time that we got it running, I had to make sure I made it to the airport to come home. So yeah, as soon as I heard that, my body went into shutdown, and I just went into get yourself home mode and get back to your shop.
It's time to take it for its first road test.